What's going on, people? Welcome back to another player ratings video. I've got a smile on my face, which I shouldn't have because of the result. But me and Patrick were already going at it with our player ratings before we even started. Villa 2, Palace 1, disappointing result. But it's time to jump into individual performances. I have to say, as a team, we didn't play good. But when you're looking at individuals, there are some important discussion points that we need to make. As always, if you do enjoy it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you're new here to not miss out on future episodes. So, Patrick,
yes.
Should we start off with the goalkeeper then? Let's start off at the back with the goalkeeper. Vicente Guaita. You gave him a 5.5. I gave him a 5. What did you think of his performance yesterday? He let in 2 goals. He made only 1 save. And that's the reason why I gave him a 5, because it was just an average performance. He basically didn't have to do anything. And when he was required, the goal just came in. I don't think it was, anything above a 5 for me. Was just not, I couldn't stand with it.
No, I agree. I didn't think he played well yesterday. I mean, he had to make, he had 1 save. He looked very shaky in that cross that came across, that he and Tomkins kind of looked at each other and almost became an own goal, and Wardy cleared it. Better playing out the back. I mean, I'm comfortable with that, but he didn't have much to do. What he had to do, he had a chance to make a save on the target shot. I mean, he had 2 players in front of him. Did make the save. He's not going to save the McGinn shot, but he had nothing to do. And you know what? 5.5. He just had a very average to poor game for me. Did nothing to do. So that's a very fair rating for me.
Yeah, there's no point even discussing anything further. No. That's it really with Vicente. Right. Talking about the right back now, Joel Ward. He's had good games so far this season, and he's had some questionable ones as well. We both gave him a 6. For me, with Wardy, the reason why I gave him a 6 is we can talk about Olise later on. He didn't offer much going forward, but in terms of defensively, especially in the second half, he was a bit better than the first half. But once again, a 6 is a nice rating as well, because I personally, I don't feel like he deserved anything above that. He might be better defending than going forward, but even that, we just didn't look comfortable at the back.
No, I totally agree. I mean, again, I've always given Ward credit for his defensive work this season. He's been very, very good. But again, I've always been the first one to say that I wish he'd get more involved, on the right side. Because if you see on the left side, you've got Mitchell. A lot of time you see Mitchell in the box. I mean, and one of the plays yesterday, Mitchell almost scored a goal on that Gallagher cross, and Ward just doesn't get forward enough. But that's not a criticism. That's not what he does. I mean, you and I have discussed it. If we want to have an attacking right back, it's going to have to be Ferguson or Kleiny. But no, yesterday, I mean, he was fine. I mean, nothing spectacular. But we let in 2 goals. He can't give a defender. Let's do something, really well, more than a 6, unless we play really well. I mean, yesterday, no one played well. But again, no criticism of Ward. He just had a very average game yesterday.
Well, talking about Nathaniel Klein, Ferguson is back at training, but Klein should be there fit ready. Do you think? Because in the Burnley game, I was not impressed with Wardy as well, in all honesty. I felt like that right-hand side with Joachim Andersen and Joe Ward, we did struggle. Do you think Vieira might look at Nathaniel Klein after this game? Because, when is he going to get the chance then?
I think if you're going to see certain players, and we'll just jump into it now, if you're going to see certain players play, now's the time. We're going to be having 2 matches a week until the end of December. So if players like Klein don't get a look in, Jared don't get a look in, Hughes don't get a look in, Edouard doesn't start more, then there's an issue. But I trust in Vieira, and I think that if he feels that Klein at some point deserves a chance to play, he'll play.
Moving on to the next player, I think this is the most positive player in our player rating so far. You gave him a 7.5, I gave him a 7. I thought he was solid in defense yesterday. Of course, he scored a goal, which I was at the ground, and I don't even know how he got it. It was like the least celebrated celebrated goal that I've seen at Selhurst Park. He just felt like, okay, like with no one, it was like, yeah. But in terms of defensively, he was, I guess, one of the better players than in the back 4 than the other 3. He looked composed at the back, and also, trying to dribble with the ball. I don't think there was too much wrong with his game. Of course, you rated him highly at 7.5. What do you make of his performance there without Joachim Andersen next to him?
He did nothing wrong yesterday. Just to throw out some stats at you, he had 96% accurate pass success rate. He had 10 long balls, 9 of them were accurate. So that's Anderson-like. He had 92 touches. He won 6 out of 8 duels. He had a headed clearance. He had a block shot. And he scored a goal. I mean, honestly, that performance yesterday was poor by everyone. for me, Guehi by far was the most outstanding player yesterday. And yeah, his defense let in 2 goals, and he's part of that defense. But looking back at the 2 goals yesterday, and I analyzed him quite a bit, I don't think he was involved in any of the 2 goals. The corner,
Mm.
he wasn't anywhere near the target goal, and then the run, and then the shot by McGinn, he wasn't part of that. So I mean, to me, he was the man of the match yesterday for us.
This guy here, James Tomkins. Look, it was his first. It's not his first start. Was that his first start for the season? I'm not too sure. I
It
feel like
was.
he's
It
played.
was. He's only
It
played
was
it.
his
Yeah,
first
it
start.
was his first start.
Okay,
Yeah.
then it must have been in preseason that I've seen him start. You gave him a 6.5. I gave him a 6, and we were going at it on Twitter as well. Talking about the corner goal. Personally, I felt like he lost his man. He, from my angle and watching him replay as well. Target was his player, and for some reason he just decided to leave him and go for the ball straight away, and it just went over him, and I think that was his error. And I understand your point that you made as well, saying that others should have stepped in, and maybe Kouyate could have blocked it, or Gallagher could have, gone ahead and go in front of the shot as well. But personally, it went down to Tomkins for me. If Tomkins was with his player, he would have, it would have been much more difficult for Target to actually control the ball, which I don't think he would have done if Tomkins was with him, and maybe that goal was preventable. But apart from that goal, what do you think about his play yesterday? Without Joachim Andersen, I've said it before, Tomkins might be a good defender, Kelly might be a good defender, but in terms of playing out from the back, in terms of the diagonal balls, I don't think they will be as effective as Joachim's.
All right. So as far as the way he played yesterday, I thought he played okay for a guy who hasn't played all season. Again, just looking at stats real quick, and stats don't always give you how a person played. 94% pass accuracy, 9 out of 10 accurate long balls. I was surprised
That's
he
what I
was
was surprised
actually that
about.
high. Exactly.
Yeah.
86 touches, which is what kind of touches that Anderson would have had. He's not Anderson. He doesn't play like him at all. But again. I thought he played okay yesterday. The one issue I had was, I mentioned before, on that cross that came in. I think it was McGinn that came across the box. Guaita has to call for it. If he did shout for it, it was a weird shout because Tomkins left the ball.
Oh,
Thankfully, in the
yeah.
back post, Ward was there to clear it. That play aside, now let's go to the goal on the corner kick. I noticed a couple things yesterday. I noticed that we went more man-to-man marking yesterday. As you rightly pointed out, definitely Tonk was marking target. Notice also that Mitchell was on the post. I don't think I've seen a player on the post in a while. So we tried to make some changes. But on that play, I think as a central defender, as a cross comes over, he just feels like he could win the header. So he mistimed the header. You're absolutely right. Target's his man. But after that, as you just said, we had 2 players that could have blocked it. Now, of course, it's not necessarily, you're right. Kouyate and Gallagher had players to mark. Left their man, tried to block the ball. But the ball goes past both of them, past Guaita, and then past Benteke. Now, again, obviously, if Tomkins is on target, he doesn't get to the ball. But, things happen during the time. He made a decision. It was a poor one. He made a decision to go to the header. So, again, I'm not going to blame Tomkins for that goal. You've got to defend corner kicks more as a team. So again, that player side, I thought Tomkins had a decent game. He wasn't great, and he's not Anderson. But to blame him for that goal, I think is a little bit harsh. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. Well, we'll be analysing that goal and more on Palace Focus on Monday night. So if you want to tune in, then we'll be talking about it there as
Nice.
well.
Okay.
Next player upcoming is Tyreek Mitchell. So you gave him a 6.5. I gave him a 6. The reason why I gave him a 6 is he might be more effective than Wardy going forward. I personally feel like, we're helping Will Mitchell's better than Ward, helping the wide player. But in terms of defense, even the stats prove it as well. He wasn't quite at the same level as Wardy. I think it was a bit too easy for Villa players to run past him, and he did struggle a bit in this game. So that's why I gave him the same rating as Wardy. Wardy might be in a better defender, but he didn't offer much going forward. Mitchell did have them overlaps, but in terms of his defensive efforts, it was kind of balanced. He was better going forward than defense, but Wardy is better defense going forward. So I gave them both a 6, but you gave him a 6.5.
So mine's based on the way I thought he neutralized Leon Bailey pretty well in the first half, especially. Bailey wasn't effective at all. In fact, in getting subbed up in the second half, he got subbed out. And secondly, I thought that if you noticed it, and you were at the ground, I don't know if you noticed it, the way we played yesterday, we played like more of a 3 at the back. If you noticed a lot, we pushed Mitchell very high up on the left-hand side and played more with Tomkins, Guehi, and Ward as like a back 3 when we were attacking. That's why, like I said, on that play that when Gallagher crossed that ball and Benteke was at the 6-yard penalty spot on the back post actually was Mitchell. He almost scored a goal. You never saw
Mm.
Ward in the box at all. So I just thought that Mitchell did a decent job getting forward. Defensively, he really did. I mean, he was okay, but I don't think if you look back at the game, I don't think you can really say that Leon Bailey. I think that's who Mitchell marked most of the match. Really did anything. So it wasn't spectacular. He didn't really have a great pass success rate, but I thought just defensively he was okay. And again, we let in 2 goals yesterday. See, besides Gray scoring that goal, you can't give any defenders, a real high rating because we didn't, we let in 2 goals. So.
Yeah. Now talking about the midfield, this is gonna get fun. Let's start off with Kouyate first. We both gave him a 6.5. Even though the midfield was a massive talking point this game. I felt like Kouyate, in terms of defensive efforts, he was actually solid, and I've got some stats to back that up as well. He was. It's not all about stats, of course.
Right.
Sometimes it's the eye test as well. But ground duels 1 out of 11, he won 7 of them. Aerial duels 1, he won 7 out of 9. So in terms of his defensive efforts, I think he done a job for me, and that's why I gave him a 6.5. And it was a bit better than average, and he didn't have that much of a bad game.
No, I thought he played well. I mean, not just stats. I mean, watching him play, he had a couple of really good tackles that he won in midfield. He broke up play really well. My issue with Kouyate, and it's never going to change, is that he just doesn't pass the ball forward enough. He's afraid to make a 10-yard pass.
He's not that guy, though.
No, I totally understand that. But there were times when he would drive the ball forward, D, and he'll stop and either play sideways or backwards. That's it. And that's why it was shocking to me that he actually had a cross in the box that led to the goal for Guehi, which is amazing because he doesn't do that kind of stuff. But again, he was fine. The problem we're going to have, and we're going to talk about it now, is that Luka and Kouyate together don't work. Let's not criticize one over the other. It's not Luka or it's.
Let me show the player
not good.
Let me show the player rating.
Yeah, let's get to it.
All right, so let's get into Luka then. You gave him a 5. I gave him a 3. Yesterday, he was the worst player on the pitch by far. I'm not too sure about whether the stats back it up, but he just looked off it. It seemed like everything that he was trying to do, it was complete. Like if he was trying to make a tackle, apart from that one tackle that he made, I think it was on the first half, which led to Benteke going through. He just didn't get it right. Just the passes, the tackling, just everything just seemed like he just went against him. And 3 is where I stand. Nowhere near average performance for me.
Yeah, I'm not saying that 5 is an average. I think he wasn't great, but again, I think the fan base is scapegoating him at this point. Again, as I mentioned before we did this, I know we've only lost 3 matches this season, but of those 3 losses, Lucas played in 1 of them. That was yesterday's match. He wasn't great yesterday, and I know you want to focus in on the free kick that was very poor, but the stats don't back out that he had an awful match. He didn't have a good match, and the eye test may say he played poorly, but again, we're focusing on the fact that we played poorly. We lost, and it was Luka's fault. I say that it's Luka and Kouyate together that doesn't work. I know someone mentioned to me yesterday that even though I think we played a 4-3-3, we actually played a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, we changed it.
Where I played Luka, and it. Listen, Vieira put his hand up and say that's not going to work. So again, Luka played poorly yesterday, but I'm not gonna blame the entire loss on Luka. He did not play well yesterday, but I think we set up poorly, which in turn made Luka look really, really poor. That's my take on it. Now, people may say, "Oh, he played awfully. He shouldn't be in the team." That's fine. I have no problem at some point if we replace Luka with Gyro or Hughes or Eze. But I'm just saying, yesterday, I think there's much more to that loss than just blaming it solely on the way Luka played yesterday.
Yeah, that's your opinion, of course. For me, as a team, we didn't play good. I can agree to that. But in terms of individual performances, Luka was by far the worst player on the pitch. And Luka and Kouyate should not happen again. This should be the last time that we see them. Unless we face a side like City, maybe then Vieira might do it. But it is just too defensive. And, in Luka's duties, Kouyate done his duty in terms of defending. Look, the stats back it up as well. We gave him a 6.5. But Luka, in terms of going forward, everything just went wrong for him. But that's enough of Luka chat. Let us know, of course, in the comment section down below whether you agree with us. Are we scapegoating Luka? Did he have a bad performance? Do you think that maybe we're being too harsh on him? Let us know. Talking about the next player in midfield, Conor Gallagher. We both gave him a 7. What do you think of his performance yesterday? He was basically 0.5 lower than Mark Guehi, so you rated him highly. I rated him highly as well.
I mean, it's just a basic, solid performance by Gallagher. I mean, a lot of things we did well yesterday, he was a part of. What I didn't like, which I don't want to see, is I don't want to see him drop down into the macro role when Eze came on, they dropped him a little bit deeper, and I really prefer. Though he can play that position, I really prefer when Gallagher's
Done well there.
able to get forward and support either Edouard or Benteke. You see the goals that he scored and the goals we scored, Zaha scored. He's always the one in the box creating and making it. When he's playing from that deep, it's harder for him to do that. So I hope that if we decide to play, let's say Eze or whoever as the other midfielder with next to Kouyate, most likely, the Gallagher does not drop deep because he's much better and much more effective, and we're better when he's able to get forward more. So, I mean, he played well, a solid performance. He wasn't spectacular, but he played as good as anybody played yesterday.
Yeah. Talking about Wilfried Zaha now, 5.5 for both of us. He didn't have a particularly good game against Burnley as well, and in this game, he was, especially in the first half, he was poor. In the second half, he did improve, I think. But we both gave him a 5.5. What do you think it is? Is it just bad form in the last 2 games? What is not working out for him? Because he started the season off so well.
I'm not sure what it is, but I will say that had he scored that chance that he had, and it was a really good opportunity that bought from Olise in the first half, right before Burnley scored, it's a different game in all aspects for him, for us. So it's it's a game of inches, they say, right? In football, and if that shot that he takes goes in, it's a different game. I don't know what it is. I think Burnley wound him up last week. I think Loughton wound him up, and I think yesterday he got a yellow card also, right? And he's getting wound up by these sides. He's got to not learn, but he just got to not embrace that. Because when it happens, I feel that when he gets the early yellow card, it kind of throws him off his game. He can't play it freely, you know what I mean? Get forward. But listen, he's had 2 matches in a row that haven't been great. I fully expect him to play really well against Leeds and against United coming up. But yesterday was not one of his better games, and I think a 5 is a very fair rating for him.
What do you make of the decision by Patrick Vieira to actually sub him off?
No problem with it. No problem. I know people.
Because
I thought he played. I didn't think he played well yesterday. And you know what? If you can't sub a player off, then you shouldn't be manager. And it was a big decision. And I have to give credit to Vieira for doing it. Now, could he have taken off Olise? Of course he could have. And maybe should have taken both of them off. Could we get to Olise in a minute? But as far as taking Wolf off, I know we had this discussion in our back of net chat, and Terrence and somebody else. I guess it was. Were complaining that you can't take him off, and I'll be honest with you, I respect that opinion, but again, anybody can be taken off, and if you're not having a great match, you should get pulled, and hopefully that motivates Wolf. And I heard Wolf got mad when he went off, and he threw his arm down or something.
He got crazy. He didn't look at Vieira in his eyes. He just threw his arm and just walked off like he looked like he was furious.
Great. So Tuesday, I expect a reaction from him. So.
Okay, let's see if we get that reaction, because he might be angry with his performances as well, because he knows he hasn't performed the last 2 games. So I don't know. We are not in Wolf's heads, but
exactly.
To be fair, I think it was a odd decision, because Olise, I thought that Olise didn't have a good game, and you gave him a 6. I gave him 5.5. But the reason why I believe he didn't have a good game is we've seen him be very good on the ball individually, but yesterday he needed a bit of support. Villa were too defensive, and we didn't have that with Wardy, and in midfield, we didn't give him enough as well. So that's why I believe he struggled. But if you're talking about Olise having a bad game and Wilf having a bad game, we've seen Wilf in the past where he has bad games, but he might have that one opportunity and we score goals from it. So if he was going to take off a player, then it would have been Olise for me, because Wilf has proven it in the past that he can actually create chances and score goals even when he's having a bad performance.
Not arguing with that. It's a great point. See, my thing with Olise is 19 years old, and I really believe that Vieira needs to use him as more of an impact sub. I think he's ready to start. I know you're one of the people that I respect that, who think that he should always be starting over Ayew, and that's not a problem. Maybe it shouldn't be Ayew, maybe it should be Edouard. But then that imbalances us, because then you got to switch Wolf to the other side, etc. But I think he's much more effective coming off the bench. All of his better performances so far this season have been as a substitute, where he scored goals and created goals. Bring him on, 20 minutes left in the match. He can run at tired defenders. He's got creativity in him. He can cross the ball. He can set up goals. But to me, when he starts, when I was yesterday also, that he was double teamed a lot yesterday, a lot more than I would have expected.
He didn't have support.
He didn't have support, exactly. So for me, I don't want to see him start yet. I think his time will come, but I would much rather see him come off the bench and have either Edouard, Ayew, or I guess if you have to, put Eze out wide. But I think Olise is more effective, and I think he's shown it last couple of games when he started. He hasn't been as effective. Not that he played poorly, but I think he's much better coming off the bench.
And then finally, the striker that we've got up there, Christian Benteke. We both gave him a 6. There were some people after the game saying that Benteke, that's why he shouldn't start.
No.
There was Benteke slander. For me, personally, I don't know what you thought, but from the ground, it seemed like whenever we tried to give him the ball, similar to Olise, he didn't have the support. There was
He
no one
didn't.
close to him, and he just got outnumbered. And what do you expect from him? We talk about this with Olise and Benteke as well. He didn't have the support that he's had before, and he didn't have the opportunities that we put him through before. So I feel like he tried his best, and I don't think he had a particularly bad game. I think 6 is a fair rating from both of us because it was a bit better than average. He tried to do the most with what he had, but at times when he did have the ball, there was no one around him. Like, what can you expect from Christian Benteke with no support?
I agree, and he almost made a goal out of nothing when that ball came over, and he, took it to the half volley and almost scored. He had a header. I guess that was the first half. He headed over the. I mean, he played okay. Again, lack of support, but it's just funny to me again with our fans. I mean, our fans like the scapegoat. He's played so well the last 3-4 matches. He doesn't score in one match. All of a sudden now it's been.
Benteke is a scapegoat. Okay, Benteke, we can agree that is a scapegoat, but Luka, based on his performance, is not a scapegoat. If you're blaming Benteke, that's a scapegoat, but Luka was not a scapegoat. Trust me, my hands were frozen. Like right now, they're bruised as well. I don't know whether it's because of the cold weather, but I was freezing out there, and I stayed till the end as well to watch Luka have that. But I think Benteke, if you're blaming Benteke for yesterday's result, I think that's the definition of a scapegoat, not Luka.
Okay, fair enough. I'll leave it there. All right, fair enough.
So talk about Eze. Good. He's finally at Sellers Park. Come back from the injury as well, long injury, and we both gave him a 6 as well. Personally, with Eze, I don't think you have to. You don't rush him back.
No,
I just think you have to give him time for him to ease back in. He had a serious injury. It's not an easy injury to come back from, and I don't want people's expectations to be too high because they're going to be unrealistic at this stage. You just have to get minutes and minutes and minutes, get used to it. People forget about this. This was the first minutes that he's had on the Patrick Vieira system.
Right.
Like he has to get used to the system. He has to get used to playing football again. So I think it's going to be from here on till Christmas. He might have some game time, but I'm not expecting an awful lot from him.
No, again, I'm just glad to see him out on the pitch. It was wonderful to see him out in front of a packed Sellers and get the run out. But I'm not expecting much from him. I'm with you. The fact that he's out there and he get a chance to contribute in any way is great. Get some minutes and love him to start very often, if at all, between now and Christmas. But hopefully we'll find a way to utilize him in the right way as an impact sub at some point. But like I said, just to have him out there yesterday was great. Didn't do anything spectacular yesterday, but just see him out there and to be able to play and not get injured again was great. So, long live Ez.
Yeah, and Edouard, we both gave him a 6 as well. There's not much to say about that.
No.
He just came on as a sub. He didn't really do much. And then finally there was Jordan Ayew, which we didn't even give a rating because he was barely on for any amount of time to give him a rating. But that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. As always, let us know what you think in the comment section down below. I know some of you will disagree with our ratings. That's fairly normal, game of opinions. So leave down your comments. We'll try to reply back to you as soon as possible. And make sure to check out the live match reaction show, my reaction, opposition preview coming out. Loads of content, as always, coming out on back of the NES. So that's it from us today. And until next time, up the Palace.